What if you were to listen to an internationally acclaimed, multi-award-winning illusionist, and he had something far more to say than, "Watch this trick"? Rick Thomas is that performer, ready to go far beyond his magic and far beyond your imagination as he shares secrets regarding our dreams. Dreams that can become reality. The future belongs to those who believe in the strength of their dreams. Dreams pass into the reality of action. From the action stems the dream again. And this interdependence produces the highest form of living. Join Rick and his co-host, award-winning broadcaster Tammy Trujillo, for Nothing Happens Until You Dream. Indulge your mind and take a journey never to be forgotten. A journey connecting all of our dreams as we chase them together.
So, Rick, before we get into chapter 34, which is truly one of my favorite chapters, it's called What Magician Inspired Me. We get to talk about a lot of other amazing magicians that you've come across and some that I've gotten to meet as well. You've got a new addition to the family. This is cool.
We do. We have a new Great Pyrenees puppy. And his name is Blizzard.
Okay.
Come on. Now, so we had Lightning and Thunder. We can share it now that they've passed on. Yes. We have Storm. Storm is still our big boy. And Blizzard is our little runt that's running all over the place. And they say he's going to be bigger than Storm.
No.
Storm's at 150 pounds and Blizzard he's a monster. He's a beautiful boy.
How old is he?
He's 8 weeks.
Okay, and he weighs what at 8 weeks?
20 pounds.
Oh, my gosh. So he weighs more than a cat at 2 months old, more than a full-grown tomcat at 2 months old.
He's so big. I have him in the show. We do the Incredible Shrinking Dog
already.
And so we can, instead of it having the cat as we had previously, we can now officially shrink the dog into a dog. However, he's growing so fast I can barely already lift him out of the box when we shrink him. So it's pretty funny.
So pretty soon you're going to have to go back to the cat because he's not going to fit in the box, or you got to
That's
get a
right.
bigger box.
He's not going to fit in the box. But it's good. And the moment that he joined the family, I put him out in front of the public. I really truly think they're the most beautiful, stunning puppies. And everybody can fight me on this one, but Great Pyrenees puppies are adorable. And we brought him out onto the stage in wonderful fashion. He decided to pee in front of the entire audience.
So wait a minute. He's on stage. Everybody's oohing and awing. And all of a sudden he just puts his little tail end down and makes a pebble. Just like that.
And obviously, because everybody has a dog or a cat, they're laughing their heads off.
Of course.
And we truly try before we bring them out to make sure that we've done everything in our power to make sure that won't happen. But it was his first go. He comes out and goes, "What are all these people out here? What are you thinking?" And he let it go.
Well, okay. Again, everybody who has a puppy is going, yep, we've all had that happen. But you only had him a few days and he was already on stage. That is so wild.
Yeah.
I guess he's got to get used to all the commotion.
Just to be introduced to the audience. We're not putting them in any ridiculous scenario. We're not making them jump through hoops or, just literally just put the little guy out there and let the audience see how beautiful he is.
Well, I hope you have all your shoes picked up off the floor at home. And there's nothing in shoe range.
I know. He's gotten a few towels already. It's always funny to watch him shred a towel.
Oh, gosh. I've got puppies right now, too. So I am relating. I can't tell you how many shoes and slippers are now, defunct or are now open toe. So,
well, our cats do it as well. Loki
really
chewed on my sandals. I was so upset. Yeah, Loki scratched my sandal. Oh, it was not good.
Oh, I didn't.
Tara says, "Do you see what Loki did to your sandals?" I said, yeah.
Now, mine have taken apart the sofa and the couch, but I've never had them do a sandal. So, but you know what? I mean, sometimes I get mad. I look at a couch and it's like all scratched. I'm like, shoot. But it's the price you pay for what you get. And I think it balances out way more in favor of what you get. Whole lot of love. It's worth
right
the sandal.
Now, even with the dog only at 20 pounds, Great Pyrenees love to sit on your lap, even when they're full grown.
Oh, perfect.
their whole life, and he's already started. He whines. Make sure you pick him up, put him on your lap, and he'll just sit there all night long. It's just a beautiful little dog.
Right now it's lovely, but at 150 pounds you could suffocate. So I'm not sure how that works.
That's funny. Yeah, we'll sit with them on the stage floor, and they'll just crawl all over you.
Oh, wow.
And,
that's pretty cool.
There you go. That's the latest news.
All right. So the Rick Thomas family +1 new baby. This is exciting. So Rick, we're at chapter 34 in the book. This is a very interesting chapter. I've been kind of waiting for this. I've gotten to see a handful of the great magicians that are out there, most of them in Vegas. But there's so many I haven't seen, and I've always wondered which ones you looked up to. You know, what kind of got you going? So I'm excited about this. So I'm not going to ask you what magician inspired you to kick off the chapter, but let's talk about where you actually got your inspiration for performance, because that started way, way, way back when you were very little.
Right. My inspiration for performance was directed by my parents, who were ballroom dance instructors, and they forced my sister and I into ballroom dancing. It was a big deal for me. When it was going on in my life, I didn't see it that way. Ballroom dancing I had so many friends who just scratched their heads and didn't understand that world that my parents were in. They made me listen to ballroom dance music constantly. I loved rock and roll.
Of course.
My parents were so frustrated with me. I loved Queen, Styx, Journey, all those amazing bands of the era. And I remember one time my mother pulled my headphones off my head at least 3 or 4 times. And a few of those times pulled the cable right out of the headphones.
Oh my gosh.
So that was me growing up going, you're not going to listen to this. You're going to listen to ballroom music.
Oh my goodness.
I think it gave me a well-rounded life. I don't regret any of it. I'm really pleased with what I learned in ballroom dancing, but they lived in a different era and they just didn't understand, as so many parents don't.
Oh no, that's right. That's
the
right.
Next generation, they scratch their head and go, what are you thinking?
This is absurd. I didn't get to listen to rock and roll either.
Yeah.
I didn't. I had a couple of Monkees records. I had 1 or 2 little Beatles singles, only because my brother brought them in the house. But honestly, I didn't. This is crazy. I didn't know until I was in junior high that there were radio stations like KHJ here in California that played this pop rock. What is this music called? Oh my! Where's it been? Is this new? I was like a mushroom. I didn't know until I was in a friend's car one day and her dad had KHJ and I'm hearing a song by the Grassroots. I'm like, oh, is there more like this? Yeah, it was weird.
Goodness.
Yeah, it was the same kind of weird growing up. My mom did not want me exposed to that kind of noise. That was the word.
In fact, if you want to really go back to my early beginnings when I started listening to the rock and roll, it was my ballroom dancing that actually sent me in that direction. One of the competitions we won was, of course, we had the trophies, and part of our gift basket was a record, and it was Bye Bye Miss American Pie.
Oh, nice. And you put that on and went, what is this? I started
listening to it, and my mom and dad, what is this? I go, I won it at the ballroom dance competition. You're not listening to this. I said, but Mom, Dad.
Oh, no.
You know? So it was the beginning for me way back. And I'll never forget how much that inspired me. And that song was embedded in my head as a young person growing up in the world of ballroom dancing and finding a better route. Now, my parents, and I know the word is forced is a little tough, but I don't think that they ever meant it to be forced, but they had me watch people like, and I'm going to say this, and most people are going to say, who's that? They had me watch Fred Astaire.
I know who that is.
They had me watch Gene Kelly. These are people who were amazing and grand in my dad's age and who he looked up to, and he was just trying to share with me his world and those people. I remember talking about those from the past and realizing that, yes, life moves on. There was a young performer in my show, and I needed him to act silly. I needed him to act funny. He was about 22 years old. And he said, well, how am I supposed to act? And I said, you need to act like Jerry Lewis. And he said, who's Jerry Lewis? So, it is just what it is. The generations move on, and you have to accept that the world is going to center around what that person's into at that very moment. And in my life, I didn't know anything different from Gene Kelly or Fred Astaire or even Jerry Lewis. I was also inspired by Liberace.
Oh, yeah, indeed. My mom, she loved him. So he was on any TV special he did was in our house. I thought when I was a kid, I thought he was rather weird, but definitely interesting. Now I think he's amazing.
Well, the chapter is what magicians inspired me. And I'm going to tell you right up front, and I'll repeat it at the very end. I believe everybody in my life, I guess, has been a magician, so to speak. I've learned from so many people in so many ways, whether it be positive or negative.
That's true.
You learn from the world around you. And Liberace and these other entertainers, you look at them and said, what made them great beyond others? As far as inspiration, I can be inspired by a magician making a really cool card trick or, a move here or there, but I wanted to go beyond the basics. I didn't want to be a guy just doing card tricks. It needed to be the entire package.
Yeah.
So when you look at these people, what made them different or beyond their skill, because there are people out there that probably are better pianists than even Liberace. Right?
Probably.
And amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing. But when you add the glitz, the glamour, the style, the presence, presentation, and you have the full package, that is what I strived for in my life. And that is what I've learned from all these people, watching them, saying what made them great beyond the basics.
But see, that is where the cleverness in all of it lies, is to look and see what makes them stand out. That's what most people miss. They don't really break it down like that. And you did that.
Yeah.
And that was really very smart. And you were doing it at a very young age. You kind of see, okay, you got two guys, they both play the piano, but why is one the big deal? And start to pick it apart like that and figure out the quote unquote, no pun intended, the magic behind that draw that the person has. Yeah.
Yes.
I agree that, and again, you love him or hate him, you couldn't resist him. Yeah.
In just his own way. So now let's just jump into an amazing lesson that my father taught me regarding talent and finding who I really am and everything that I can bring to the table. My father traveled to New York when he was a young man, and he was in his late teens, probably 19 years old. And he wanted to perform on the stages of Broadway. He loved dancing. He was an exceptional dancer. Exceptional. He, when I try and say ballroom dancing, this wasn't just people meeting at a gathering to dance some ballroom dancing and socialize. My parents were judges and extremely well-versed teachers in ballroom dance. So he goes out to Broadway and he's out there for a while, and he tells the story that he left Broadway. And he realized on Broadway he didn't have a chance to succeed.
Wow.
And I said, what are you talking about, Dad? You are so well-versed in your dancing career. And he said that he was not a triple threat.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the Liberaces. Let's talk about the Gene Kellys. Let's talk about so I'm like, what do you mean a triple threat? And he says, my dancing, I dance circles around everybody on that stage. I could be part of the cast dancing in the background my whole existence, and that's what I would be. He says, but I can't sing and I can't act.
One trick pony.
He was one trick pony. So he realized, looking at his life, that the only thing that he could in that particular scenario bring to the table was dancing, that he wasn't going to be the star he wanted to be on Broadway because he couldn't sing. Wow. And he really was uncomfortable acting. But you put dance shoes on him, and he
owned
knew
the
what he was
world.
doing.
Yeah.
So I thought that was fascinating. He just was not a triple threat. And that guided me in my life to realize, well, Rick, if you're going to do magic, you're going to do something more than just a trick.
Mm-hmm.
It can't be a trick. You can't hide behind your boxes. You can't buy or create something and present it and expect it to truly be entertaining to the audience. Tammy, when you watch my show, probably one of the things that sets me apart is the relationship I have with the audience.
Oh, yeah.
The story that goes beyond the magic.
Well, it's far different. And again, I've seen a handful of some of the superstar magicians. And what do they say? You break down the fourth wall. Is that the phrase?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You have to break down that wall.
Mm-hmm.
And one of those things I do literally within the first 30 seconds of my show. I realize I have to break it down. I want the audience to realize we're there just to have fun.
Mm-hmm.
The worst thing, people want to be fooled, but they don't want to be fooled. How do I explain that?
That does make sense, but go ahead. Yeah.
Okay. If there's a guy and he's there with his girlfriend
Mm-hmm.
and a magic trick is done
Mm-hmm.
in front of the two of them and both of them are blown away,
Mm-hmm.
the guy does not want the girl to think that he is clueless.
Of course not.
And he doesn't know what he just saw.
Uh-huh.
It's in a very embarrassing moment when you don't have an answer.
Yes.
And in a relationship, I've just seen it. I've seen it so often that it's not a good thing for the magician to make people feel stupid.
Oh, no. Oh, no. That's
So
negative.
critical.
Yeah.
And their whole life is all about trying to fool somebody.
Mm-hmm.
And my thoughts are, if I fool you in the process, that's good enough. I'm thrilled that occurs, but I want you to be thoroughly entertained.
Yeah.
I want it to go beyond the magic. I want when the show starts, you stop thinking about how it's done
Mm-hmm.
and just sit back and go, whoa.
Wow. Yeah. Enjoy the moment.
Yeah.
Without dissecting it. Yeah, you do. You really, I don't want to say work the audience, but no, you make that connection. I think the cool thing is, this is one of the things I remember from seeing you the very first time. Here you are. You're on this big stage, grandioso props, beautiful girls, dancers, what have you. You know, rather imposing at 6'4". Right. Good looking guy. Fantastic costume. And all of a sudden, this thing clicks out of your first illusion, and you're just this guy. Despite all this trappings, you're just a guy talking to people.
Yeah.
You lose, in a positive way, you lose that grandeur of being untouchable and maybe actually unreal. kind of illusion yourself. And hey, this is just guy, and it's so cool. And then almost with a snap of your fingers, you're back to this grand illusionist. You jump in and out of that so easily, and it resonates with people. Watching the show multiple times, I watch the people too now. And I see what happens, and they're like, "Oh wow, this he's real," and it's nice to be thought of as real.
My father taught that to me as well,
Really?
in a reversed way. The reason why Dad left Broadway was because. Sorry, I laugh because I can hear him, though he lives in my heart now, and he's passed on. My dad, the moment that he would stand in front of public to speak, he almost became like a 3-ring circus barker, right? He'd go, ladies and gentlemen, it's so wonderful to meet with you today. Thank you so much. I'm like, I was even a young kid then, and I'd be cracking up going, Dad, you sound ridiculous.
Yeah. Just talk to us, please.
Just talk to me.
Yeah.
He couldn't do it. He couldn't. It had to be. All of a sudden, the voice got low, and he got serious.
Speaking
and
to the masses.
I'm so glad that you're here this evening at the presentation, and I'm like, Dad.
Oh, who can
back
relate?
off,
Who can
chill
relate?
out.
Yeah.
And I learned. I said, I can't be that way. I can't do that. So it is the moment that I stand out on stage. I'm like, hey, look, we're family tonight. You're invited guests in my mansion of dreams, but we're family, and I am here just to have a blast with you tonight. So just kick back, relax. And there's a point in my show, of course, my box trick where I do the I do girl.
I love that. Yeah.
I always have somewhat of a challenge getting them to do their bit because it is slightly on the, I wouldn't say embarrassing side.
I would.
Wait,
I would.
You put yourself outside the box. And I tell them, I say, but we're family. We're family. Just get over it. I said, I've done it 3 times. So
No, if nobody's ever seen it, it's impossible to really describe it. But I'm putting you on the spot. Okay, say here what you say to them, how they have to say "I do."
okay. So there is a woman in the audience that I ask to watch a box,
Mhm.
a sealed box,
Mhm.
locked shut, and she has to watch the box through the entire process.
Right. Simple.
And when I say, "Who's got the box?" she has to stand with her hands high over her head and say, "I do, I do."
Like that.
And she has to swing her hips as I present. And the audience it's so out of character. I think that's what it is. The audience looks at me and goes, "What?" And it's so out of character that it's funny.
Yeah, it's great.
And you have to realize that we're there to have some fun. And then the woman's eyes are like, "What?"
Oh God, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Before we were friends, we sort of knew each other. I always think if he ever picks me for that, I will find him later and kick his butt. I will so be warned, don't you ever dare.
Tara has begged me to make a t-shirt for the show and it says, "Who's got the box?" And on the backside it says, "I do."
Oh, yes, Tara. Yes.
I know. She's right. I'm wrong.
Is.
I need to make a t-shirt.
Oh.
And we need to start selling it.
Oh, and you'd sell out because that is truly one of the things of the many things in the show, but one of the things people will walk away and tell people. My husband, I don't know if he's never done it for you, but he might someday. He has the greatest imitation of that.
Does he?
Oh, yeah. And he's been doing it since the first time he saw you do it. Yeah, that's a joke with him. Yeah, you'll say something, he'll go, I do. And he does the wiggle and everything. No, you've created a hallmark here, Rick. There you go. Get that T-shirt.
Yeah,
Hey,
we
Tara.
have people sending videos as well to me, showing their children in the kitchen doing the I do.
See?
I do.
Oh, my gosh. Tara and I, we got to team up and get you to utilize that because that's too
All right.
good. That's too good.
All right.
But yeah,
Okay.
but it is a little embarrassing to do. It's a little tricky, but it is a cool little moment in the show.
But it's amazing that I can get them to do it.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And I tell them, they go, "I can't believe you made me do this." I go, "I didn't. You did.
It's true.
I just suggested."
Well, that's true. They could have sat right down and folded their arms and say, "Get away from me."
Yeah,
But
get
they
away. You
don't.
bother me.
But no, it is a neat moment.
I think that's what, again, it's me literally telling the audience I'm not taking myself serious.
Mm-hmm. This is fun.
And there's so many magicians out there who take the art seriously,
Mm-hmm.
which is fine in a positive way as far as making sure you present well.
Mm-hmm.
But if it turns into like my dad saying, "Welcome to the show," I'm like, I'm out of there.
Yeah.
I am not going to watch somebody fake it so bad
Mm-hmm.
that I just can't handle it. It's just not my style.
Well, that's pretending to be a something as opposed to being a something. To me, that's the difference.
As far as pretending,
Mm-hmm.
I've talked to you about other entertainers. As far as illusionists,
Mm-hmm.
David Copperfield is a few years older than I am.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm sure that he inspired me. All of his magic in his early years were stories. You know what it is? I don't see a problem with people emulating others as they grow, as they learn who they are. But there will come a point in your life where you need to stop being somebody else and find your own space.
Right.
So, and with David, there were times when I said, "Oh, I like this style," and you try to do it. And for me, it was a good learning curve, but it wasn't me. It wasn't me.
Right.
I had to find my space. I had to find where dancing fit in. I had to find my corny attitude, my wanting everybody to be family in the audience, everybody to follow their dreams. It's all about following your dreams. So I had my own thing. And I think by the time I was 26, 27, about that time, I started figuring out who I was.
Right. That makes sense. Your style.
And I went on my own merry way and found myself.
Mm-hmm.
And so I say that to others. It's all right to learn from others and to try and, again, success is how well you hide your sources.
That's very true. No, that's absolutely true.
And I think in the last conversation we had, I said something to the fact is why do all the cars all look the same out there on the road? It's because everybody's copying everybody.
Yeah. Nobody has the courage to go out on their own and do their thing.
They do here and there, and there's
Yeah.
a curve here and a curve there, and then that changes the whole theme of things. And then the next season, you've got a new look,
Right.
which is great. But for the most part, we're staying within our comfort zone, and that's making sure that we don't go too outside the box.
Oh, we stick with what we know works.
Yeah.
Because there's no fear of failure then, but there's also no fear of innovation and creative and new and success. And that's where people like Liberace went out on a limb, way out on a limb.
Way out on
Yeah, and said, I'm doing it like this, and they're going to like it. And they did. So it's taking the risk. It's taking the calculated risk. And risk is scary.
Yeah.
Yeah. But you did it. You did it.
Yeah.
Your show is far different than anybody else's, but that's why you're successful.
It is far different. It is different. There's just a different style. There's a different, even today, as it's changed and transitioned into the mansion of dreams. I had another wonderful entertainer in my industry, Franz Ferrari, say to me, he goes, Rick, I just can't believe it. As time has gone on, you found your space. He says, your mansion of dreams is perfect. It's all Edwardian now. The girls are in elegant costumes. You know, you're aging in a very sophisticated manner. He says, while the rest of us are still trying to wear leather, lace, and chains and trying to be something hip that we aren't. Rick Thomas just said, I think that this is going to fit me better by going this route. And I would tell you that Edwardian style was my influence from my parents in ballroom dancing.
Oh, that makes sense now, doesn't it? Yeah.
It's fascinating. And I say you learn something from everyone, whether it be good or bad. And our whole life is made up of what we have learned from others, and it makes you who you are, and it makes you unique. The best thing to do is not to just emulate one individual, but take the best of what you can from everyone and learn.
And then craft it to your own thing.
My father went to Broadway, and he attempted to perform on Broadway. I have been very blessed in my career, very lucky. They say the harder you work, the luckier you get to have performed on Broadway.
Yeah, you have.
So that was something that I felt something very special in my life, giving me the chance to actually perform on Broadway. And I know my dad tried so hard. And, you know, you think about how that must be or feel. And I can only tell him from afar that he should be a very proud dad for his guidance and his direction, though he may not have obtained everything he wanted in that particular part of our entertainment industry. His son did.
He helped you get to Broadway.
Yes.
So while he couldn't do it himself, he had some tools that helped you do it. And he knows. Believe me, he knows.
And isn't that the way with all everything that we do in life? You've got people who came to this country with nothing and they struggled, and their children prospered because of it, and their grandchildren prospered because of it. They may not have gotten everything that they wanted, but they put their family in the right place and the right state of mind to become something grand in this country of ours.
That's an accomplishment for them, even though vicariously. They succeeded by their child succeeding. I truly believe that. I had a young lady who graduated college recently, and her family, I didn't know this until just before she graduated. I knew her for 2 years. Her family were street vendors here in LA. That's what they did. They had a little cart.
Oh, goodness.
And this young lady, poised, intelligent, beautiful young lady, got through college and was the first in her family to have done anything like that. And she landed a job, and she is on the air in Sacramento right now.
That's fabulous.
I know. And her family laid that path. It's nothing they could ever have done themselves, but they laid the path for her to do it. And by gosh, she did. So vicariously, so did they. Oh, that was the greatest story. It was really cool.
Bravo to her and her family. And I think that's all of us are truly, just like I said, we're trying to find our path and find our way. And so as far as was I inspired by, you could say Copperfield, you could say great Harry Houdini lived 100 years ago. You know, so many people that were inspiration within my particular field of art. And you know what, if you don't mind, I'm going to talk about my particular field of art.
Mm-hmm.
We're talking about Broadway. We're talking about television. We're talking about movies. And I know there's going to be a lot of people who do not agree with me. But I truly believe that magic is the greatest art form in the entire world. Okay, and I'm going to repeat again. Many people may think it's like inches away from being a mime.
Oh, no.
But I believe that magic is the greatest art form in the world because it encompasses everything.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not talking about just someone clowning around. I'm talking about a strong entertainer, an inspiring speaker,
Mm-hmm.
and one who presents well. You've got to be able to stand on stage and have a commanding presence,
Yeah.
and at the same time present your art
Mm-hmm.
and pull it off. And so why do I also think it's the greatest art form? Follow me on this one, because this is again my thought process on magic and why people may not see it as the finest art in the industry. Because you have to know music. You have to know, in my situation, you have to know dance. You have to know all these amazing things in the industry, all these special effects that you need to understand. You're not a dancer dancing in a show. With the world of magic, there's so many things that you need to understand to pull it off.
Mm-hmm.
So I say that magic is an extremely unique form of art, and I call it a negative art form. Magic is a negative art form. Well, you want to guess what that is?
No, I want you to tell me.
Okay. All right. Every other art form in the industry, singing, dancing, juggling. And by the way, if you're a magician, don't ever, ever, ever follow a juggler in a show. You'll be thrashed. The juggler, he'll win every time.
Really?
Yeah. Oh, okay. Here's the reason. So here's a juggler, right? He's got 10 knives,
all
right? And he's juggling these 10 knives in the air.
Yeah.
It's visual. It's visual. And the audience, they see his talent.
Mm-hmm, I get it.
And it's mind blowing.
Mm-hmm.
If a magician is any good at what he does, he hides his talent.
I get it.
Because you don't see or should not see what a magician does to pull it off.
No, you shouldn't.
So I call it a very negative art form.
Get it.
And that is why often people don't applaud or respond, because it is so reversed. You know, like I said, imagine that juggler juggling 10 knives.
Right.
And you're like, whoa, that's amazing.
Yeah.
Right.
I can see
and the magician
amazing.
makes somebody disappear and they go, where'd he go?
What just happened?
Right. So it is an art form that encompasses all the different types of art, but at the same time, sometimes silence is the best applause for a magician.
Your goal is to astound. That's part of it.
And I have fought tooth and nail throughout my career to, I wouldn't say force people to applaud, but you'd want them to respond.
Yeah.
And sometimes you are frustrated. So in magic, once you realize what I'm trying to tell you, it is a extremely bizarre type of art.
Yeah.
And if you're great at it, you hide your talent. You hide your talent.
I get that. Now I get it. Well, how some of these illusions are done. And I took some magic lessons once for about 6 months because I had to learn how some of this was done. I had to get it. And I was amazed at how some of this stuff is done. It's fascinating. But here's the other thing that is so interesting. It's not just knowing how it's done. Okay, now you know the mechanics. But it's doing it when nobody can actually see you do it. Mm-hmm. That, to me, is the hardest part. Because you're doing it right in front of them.
Yep.
Yeah, it was amazing.
And if you're great, you're hiding your talent.
Yeah. My whole appreciation changed after I took those classes. I always had loved magic, but my appreciation for the magician's talent changed after I learned how some of that was done. And these were just very simple sleight of hand things. This was nothing grand at all. You know, just something very, very simple. But it was still, to me, fascinating. And then to watch you or another magician and kind of know what you're doing, going, I know what he did, but damn, I didn't see it. I know exactly what he did to make that happen, but I didn't see him do it.
I didn't see it do it.
Yeah.
Well,
That
for the
was
most
more.
part, a magician is one step ahead of
Mhm.
you,
Mhm.
the entire process.
Mhm.
So if I'm going to make something vanish, it's already gone. Now, the
Yeah.
rest of it is, again, acting,
Yeah, the setup. Yeah.
the
Yeah.
setup,
Uh-huh.
or the acting and making sure that the audience still believes that everything is in place.
Uh-huh.
So when the vanish occurs, it's instant.
It still fascinates me. It still blows my mind how it is actually pulled off right there on stage. And I could watch the show 100 nights in a row, and I would be still just amazed on night 101
Yeah.
because that level of skill is crazy. You know, for so long, the magicians were almost like a sideshow thing for so long. And
I know.
yeah, I know you know, but and to think now, understanding the little tiny iota that I do, how much effort that went into that sideshow thing. Thank goodness it's gone to the main stage now, because the level of work that goes into perfecting that, out of this world for something that no, I can't see you do it.
I also work extremely hard in the show by making sure that people realize when they watch me that they're not overwhelmed by what appears to be my accomplishments. I even say it in the show. I've designed special effects where I literally tell the audience, and I think people, the greatest joy is people walking out and saying, thank you for your stories. Thank you for what you shared. This is what I fight for. And one of them is what do you do with what you're given? So I started with nothing. My parents, though they were ballroom dance instructors, there was not a lot of money in that industry until Dancing with the Stars came out. So my parents struggled financially, and I did as well. Started with nothing and built it one step at a time. And I thought to myself, what are you going to do with what you're given? So I created an effect in the show, and these are the words, these are the lines that I came up with. And it's a play on words, and you'll catch it, but it's still a play on words. And I do it in a very innocent manner, but I think it gets the point across. I said, I do a very small illusion, and I'm on a very small stage, on a stage. I've created a little stage, a miniature stage. And I said, this is where I started. I started as a little boy performing on a little stage. And I tell the audience, these are the dreams of a child. They're my dreams. I never wanted to grow up. I never wanted anybody to tell me what I could or could not do. And then I say, you know what else I learned? And again, you're looking at a small stage on a very large stage.
Okay.
I say, it's not the size of the stage. It's what you do with it. And all of a sudden, the entire stage starts to grow. The miniature stage starts to open up, and everything expands, and it becomes a larger stage. And at that point, I make a helicopter appear. And the cool part about it is I make a helicopter appear on a little dinky stage that it can't fit. But the point, and I say it again, is it's not the size of the stage. It's what you do with it. So when people say, well, you know, this person was given a silver spoon in his mouth and they had this and they had that. Do you realize how many people in this world who are given everything and they do nothing with it?
Oh, they do nothing with it, or they do something destructive and just blow it all up. Yeah.
Everybody's given a different lot in life.
True.
Everybody. And I wish, you know, the greatest thing about, if you want to say the United States and other countries that are along those lines, is these countries give you the chance to follow your dreams.
Right.
Does it say that everybody's going to have the same dream or the same opportunity?
No.
Well, the opportunities are there. But again, if you're given a smaller stage, so to speak, you may think it's impossible for you to accomplish what somebody else has. And I think that that's what I fight for. And I literally put that in the show because it's all about everybody thinking, well, yeah, but look at Rick Thomas. Look at all the magic he has. Look what he's done. Look at his travels. I don't preach to the audience where I started, but I started doing close-up magic at restaurants in Long Beach, California. I would go around from table to table and do card tricks while people were eating their dinner.
For tips.
Working for tips.
For
right.
Tips. Yeah.
And that is all I had. That is it. My parents couldn't give me any money. They were keeping the family alive.
Right.
And I'm out there at the age of 15, 16, 17 years old now, just doing close-up magic. My first illusion was called a zigzag.
Okay.
It's where you cut a girl into 3 pieces.
Oh, all right.
Okay. Now, it's a very famous illusion. And when I was a young man, it was a big deal.
Uh-huh.
And they had one of these illusions in a magic shop in Newport Beach, California. Okay. And I saw this illusion in the window.
Uh-huh.
And I said, I really want this illusion.
Mm-hmm.
And they said, it's at that point, it was, I think, $1,200 for the illusion. Okay.
Yikes.
Which is actually really inexpensive. But for me, that was, for a 16-year-old kid, $1,200, $1,500 was. And I said to him, I said, well, this is a big draw in your magic shop. And you do want to sell it, right? They said, yes. I said, how about if I pay $100 a month on it while you keep it in the magic shop? And I just slowly buy it. And after about 1.5 years, I had paid it off and I got my first illusion. And I was just doing card tricks at tables. Oh, and then once I did that one, I started presenting it at clubs, Elks Lodges, whatever I could. And I had a bird act that I was working on. And I struggled. I bet and
you
I
did.
Fought. And to this day, I have never had anyone invest in my show. I have no investors. I would love to have a couple investors. Anybody out there listening to my podcast?
Notice
I've got some amazing grand things ahead of us. If you want to be part of an investment group, okay, there you've heard it.
Hey,
but
go for it.
My whole life, I've never asked for anything, so to speak, and I just fought my way.
Yep.
So it's not the size of the stage; it's what you do with it.
That makes perfect sense. I've got to say, when we do our podcast, I have the book up on my computer. You have a picture in the book, The Tiger Whisker, of the helicopter on the small stage.
Yes.
It's great. And seriously, as you listen to the podcast, you really should have the book. So I'm going to do a shameless plug here because the book is not just what Rick is saying, but it's the pictures that really illustrate. And if you haven't had a chance to see the show in Branson, the pictures are going to start to really help you understand the story. Just like seeing this large helicopter, a real honest to gosh helicopter. We're not talking about a model here. It's a real helicopter, right?
It's a real helicopter.
It's a real honest to gosh helicopter.
Real honest to gosh.
Okay. Sitting on this little teeny stage with you right in front of it. The book is available. Amazon, Barnes & Noble. We have a link in the show notes. It's everywhere.
Absolutely.
And get it because the pictures are going to blow your mind.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
So if you don't mind, I'm going to actually, since we're talking about the book, I'm going to read the last paragraph in this particular chapter.
Okay.
Because it sums everything up and everything I've said, but it's worth repeating. So I wrote, we know that the playing field doesn't always appear to be fair. The greatness about our country is that everybody has the right and privilege to accomplish their dreams and desires. We're in a country where we have the freedom to accomplish many great things. Living in other parts of the world often squashes everyone's dreams, no matter what they are given or what their status. In countries with freedom, I can tell you how many times I've heard someone say, I started out with nothing, but look what I've been able to accomplish. So be grateful for the opportunity to fight and pursue your dreams. It is not the size of the stage. It is what you do with it. Make magic happen with whatever size stage you're given.
I love it.
That's just I've just found myself there. And I tell people, they said, why is the show always about dreams? I said, because I need to hear it more than anybody else.
Yeah. And we do need to constantly be reminded of it.
Yeah.
Even you, even me, even anybody, because you've still got more dreams ahead, right? You're not done.
No, I'm not done.
Me neither.
No, I'm not done. And like I said, anybody want to invest in the show, contact me and we will go places.
Well, okay, so I'll make another proclamation. Me wants to see you on Dancing with the Stars. And I've said that for years. They are missing their boat. They really are. They need to get Rick Thomas on Dancing with the Stars. So any of those folks are listening, wake up.
Right.
You know?
Well, I actually, Penn from Penn and Teller, I think it was the second or third season. I was up against Penn for the Dancing with the Stars, and they chose Penn, and he was out after the first night.
Yes, I remember this.
Do you?
I do, and I was furious when he got it over you, and And I'm going to show my mean side, because I have one. I was thrilled when he got dumped so quickly. It's horrible to say, isn't it? It's terrible.
You know, I think it's fun. I think at that time in that particular, you know, it's changed. Now they look to people who have some kind of talent to really bring it to the table.
Mm-hmm.
And I think then they were looking for stars who that wasn't their, because I was in ballroom dancing, right?
Yeah.
They're looking for people who aren't in that particular field.
Right. Because you would have just aced it.
To train them.
Yeah, it would have been a snap for you. It really would have. I thought, you know, you could just slide right through this. And you would have. And you would have had the disco ball trophy and all that.
Another thing, and it's very brief, I don't want to, if anybody's not on my newsletter, do go to rickthomas.com. And in the bottom right corner, it just says sign up for the newsletter.
Mm-hmm.
Once again, rickthomas.com. This last month, the April newsletter, Tammy, I know you probably read it. It was the one about the Tropicana closing.
Yes.
Yeah. I was at the Tropicana the better part of 10 years. And that was a big part of my successful magical career.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, I had the Tigers in the show as well.
Yep.
And they even made a gambling chip. Rick Thomas gambling chip.
Oh, cool.
And they used that in the casino as well. So I thought I was pretty cool then.
Well, you were pretty cool then. Get your own chip. Are you kidding me? How many people get that? That to me is a big wow. Yeah, it's sad to see that going from the Strip. Things change.
And for a friend out there who didn't know who Jerry Lewis is.
Yeah.
Go look him up.
And you should. Before we end, I do want to talk about another kind of dream, and that's the dream of financial stability. We all want it. It's harder and harder and harder to get. But Rick, you do have a plan.
I do.
And it's a plan that pretty much anybody can jump into. And that is buying gold and silver instead of sticking your money under the mattress.
I can tell you that, first of all, I'm thrilled our podcast is up and running and in its full glory.
Yep.
Again, as we took a slight hiatus. And with that also was people not reaching out after a while regarding gold and silver.
Right.
So I'm going to tell you right now, I'll make it very simple. You need to get some. You need to diversify and protect your family. If you want to chat about it and say hello, it'd be a pleasure for me to just basically tell you what I've done with my family and how we've protected ourselves with precious metals. Mm-hmm. And it's a very magical thing. Until you hold a brick of gold in your hands, you haven't lived.
Well, I haven't held a brick of gold yet. That would be nice.
Oh, my goodness.
But I've held some silver coins. It is kind of a neat experience because you're really holding it. It's very real in your hand. It's not going to vanish. Rick can't make it disappear on you. And nobody can make it disappear on you, I guess is the point, because you're holding it. mansionofdreams.net/wealth. You go to that little form to fill out, take you a couple seconds, and you will find out what you need to know because Rick will actually phone you up.
Yep.
And talk to you about it.
I will phone you up.
Yep. And don't think, I don't have the money. I don't have whatever it takes. You do. You do. And Rick will explain it to you and you will be surprised. And you'll have your own kind of magic.
Because all you're doing is transferring money from one type of money to another. You're not losing any money. You're just moving it to real money. We call gold and silver real money because it doesn't lose its worth.
Right.
It's really difficult at first when someone takes their hard-earned cash and turns it into a bar of silver, so to speak. Like, what am I supposed to do with this? And I said, trust me.
Hang on to
You'll
it
know
until you need it.
exactly what you need to do with this as time moves on. So what a day. I am so thrilled. We talked about Blizzard. We talked about, oh my goodness.
Yeah, there was a lot here and it was a lot of fun to do. We'll just do it again next week.
Thank you.
Thank you, Rick.
Thanks for joining us this week on Nothing Happens Until You Dream, starring Rick Thomas and featuring Tammy Trujillo, and is based on Rick Thomas's best-selling book, The Tiger Whisker, available on rickthomas.com. We hope you enjoyed this episode. We'd love for you to subscribe and leave us a review wherever you get your podcasts. And check us out on Patreon for exclusive members-only content. Stay up to date with Rick and Tammy at nothinghappensUntilYouDream.com. Remember, you must follow your dreams, not only for yourself, but for the rest of our future. We'll see you on the next episode.